I would like to announce that a quorum is present. The meeting is duly called, and a notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. The following board members are in attendance: Catherine Sells, Sheila Taylor, Dr. Buddy Bonner, Allison Lasan, Michelle Alcateb, Dr. Stacy Barker, and Jenny Prosnick. We will now convene into closed session as authorized by Texas Government Code Section 551, specifically 551.071, 072, 074, and 089. The time is 6 p.m. We will now reconvene into open session. The time is 7:03 p.m. Students from Forest Vista Elementary School will now lead us in our pledges. We have third grader Grayson along with his second grade twin brothers Luke and Liam Meister.
Will you join us for the pledge tonight? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, in liberty and justice for all.
Please join us for the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Gentlemen, if you'll join me right here in the center, we're going to talk a little bit about you. Grayson enjoys recess at school and baseball outside of school. Grayson wants to be a firefighter when he grows up. We got an academy for that. His favorite teacher is Mrs. Kane because she is nice. Mrs. Kane was his second grade teacher. Fun facts about Luke. Luke enjoys math at school and flag football outside of school. When he grows up, Luke wants to be a professional baseball player. His favorite teacher is also Mrs. Kane because she is nice. She is currently his second grade teacher. Fun facts about Liam. Liam enjoys riding at school and motocross outside of school. When he grows up, Liam would like to be one of the pilots for the Blue Angels. His favorite teacher is, guess who it is? It's Mrs. Kane. She has a fan club in the Meister household because she is nice. I'd also like to recognize their parents, Vanessa and Adam Meister. Thank y'all. Welcome to all. The Lewisville ISD Board of Trustees meets monthly to receive reports from staff and take action on recommendations from the superintendent. The board receives the agenda and all supporting documentation 10 days in advance of these regular meetings, which allows us to ask and receive answers to many of our questions. The board also meets in regularly scheduled workshops, work sessions, where staff discussions and presentations are given for many of the agenda items. This protocol means lengthy discussion or a litany of questions on every agenda item often is not necessary, and as a board, we should have appropriate knowledge and preparation for responses regarding the content of our meeting tonight. First up on the agenda is to consider action on items discussed in closed session. Consider approval of a resolution and contract to sell 22.739 acres of declared surplus property located on Wager Road in the town of Flower Mound. Do I have a motion? Ms. Sells.
Madam President, I move that the board approve the resolution and the real estate sales contract between the Lewisville Independent School District and the buyer of the 22.739 acres, more or less, of declared surplus property located on Wager Road in the town of Flower Mound, all of which has been declared surplus property, and authorize the superintendent or her designee to negotiate, finalize, and execute the real estate sales contract and all documents necessary to consummate the sale, and authorize the board president or her designee to sign the deed at closing.
Is there a second? Dr. Barker? All those in favor? That's unanimous, 7-0. We're now moving public comment up first, up next, moving it on the agenda. So public comments are next on the agenda. Those who wish to speak at a board meeting often expect a dialogue with the Board of Trustees. However, in accordance with Texas law, the board is not able to respond directly to comments or questions posed by speakers. Texas law also does not allow the board to discuss or take action on any issue presented during the public forum unless the item has already been posted for action on the meeting agenda. Each speaker will receive a written follow-up from the district in the next 3 business days. The board and district administration welcomes and values the feedback shared during this time of the meeting, and we are grateful for the continued partnership between LISD and the families and the communities we serve. Lewisville ISD stakeholders, meaning current students, parents, employees, and residents of Lewisville ISD, will have up to 3 minutes for their presentation. April Langston. Welcome, Ms. Langston. Let them come. Is it on?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
I think I need to move a little bit closer. Good afternoon. Thank you for hearing my comment tonight. Thank you all for being here and giving me this wonderful opportunity. You may have heard my name and seen my face over some years here, standing on behalf of our Honorable Vernell Gregg. She has had a great impact on thousands of students here in our district. She was instrumental in many reading programs, in the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Art and Essay Contest, where all students can participate and learn more about the culture and what all the accomplishments that Dr. King has made. She was instrumental in the HBCU College Fair, that coming to our district. Also, she has been so critical in the AVID program. AVID is the Advancement via Individual Determination, a college readiness program designed to help students, to help them be successful. I believe the Word of God tells us that to whom much is given, much is required. She has been such a huge part of this community. Wanted to read a little bit more. It says that as a life member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, naming this DeGan Elementary Sensory Room after Miss Gregg is going to be a great way that you, as the board tonight, can make a meaningful expression of the appreciation to her as a dedicated community leader and one who has made a meaningful difference in the lives of students in this district. I'd like to speak just personally on behalf of Ms. Gregg. She's been an awesome mentor of mine. I've raised 2 students here. Shout out to Marcus High School. I just am so grateful to have the opportunity to speak on her behalf. I thank you for your time today. I do pray that we are able to move forward with this honorable opportunity for Ms. Gregg. As a member of my church, Macedonian Ministries, we do pray for the school board every Saturday morning. For all of the educators here, we pray for our children, our school districts. So I appreciate all that you all do for our community. So thank you so much. I'm looking forward to great things. We appreciate your time. And on behalf of concerned citizens and African American parents, we say thank you. And we hope that you're able to make this a wonderful occasion for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Langston. There are no other speakers. We will move back to item F on the agenda. Action items part 1, considering naming the DeGan Elementary Sensory Room the Vernell Gregg Sensory Room. Ms. Taylor.
Thank you, Madam President. Vernell Gregg began her education career at DeGan Elementary School as its first black teacher. She brought along a fiery passion for education and taught in LISD for years before she was elected to the LISD Board of Trustees, where she served from 2006 to 2012, ultimately serving as the board president. Vernell made history again as she was the first black LISD school board trustee. LISD has formally recognized Vernell's significant contributions to the district, where she started the AVID program and helped create the district's Black History celebrations. According to her lead nominator, Mrs. Gregg has made a meaningful difference in the lives of many students. This is a small token to honor her rich legacy in education in our district. Leah Montez, former Carrollton resident and LISD parent and current president of CAPCO, requests the naming of the DeGan Elementary Sensory Room to the Vernell Gregg Sensory Room.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Do I have a motion? Ms. Taylor?
Madam President, I move that the board approve naming the DeGan Elementary Sensory Room the Vernell Gregg Sensory Room.
Second, Dr. Bonner. I will say, per board policy, this does require a supermajority vote. All those in favor? That was easy, 7-0. Congratulations, Miss Gregg. And now we'll move on to my favorite part of the meeting, which is recognitions and student spotlight.
Flower Mound and Polzer Elementary Schools and Killian Middle School were recognized by Solution Tree for their success in raising student achievement due to the implementation of the Professional Learning Communities at Work process. PLCs at Work are schools in which educators recognize the key to improved student learning is ongoing, job embedding learning for adults who serve students. Schools are recognized based on strict criteria, including commitment to and implementation of PLCs at Work concepts and clear evidence of improved student learning over a 3-year period. Great job, Flower Mound, Polzer, and Killian. The Texas Elementary Principals and Supervisors Association announced that Donald, Forest Vista, Garden Ridge, Hicks, Memorial, and Peters Colony Elementary Schools are recipients of the 2023-2024 Student Leadership Award. This prestigious award recognizes outstanding student leadership teams that have demonstrated exceptional commitment to their school communities through their leadership and service. Congratulations.
Not on. I can be loud. Now it is. Awesome. Good evening. Thank you so much for having us here to accept the award for the Texas Student Council Award. I do want to point out that these wonderful students and our advisors also received an additional award for student council work last year. Donald, because of their acts, was named one of 12 schools in the state of Texas to receive the American Student Council Association's School of Excellence Award that's sponsored by the National Association of Elementary School Principals as well. So we have with us today our student council sponsors from this past year and our current year, Michelle Emmett, Meredith Whitsitt, and Lindsay Thomas. And we have our current 5 student council officers with us, Adia Tickeretti, Natalie Morgan, Arush Panangat, Lena DeFazio, and Amir Nizam. All right. Their wonderful parents are also here as well. If y'all would stand to be thanked while we're taking a real quick photo. They want to come up? Do you know? Okay.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Schott, principal at Forest Vista Elementary. I'm going to do something that I normally don't do. I'm not going to talk very much. I usually like to talk a lot. I'm going to introduce Ms. Chong here. She is one of our leaders for our STUCO, staff leaders for our STUCO, and I'm going to let her introduce the students this evening.
All right, so the 4 students that we have here today served in our student council last year as 4th graders, and they're serving again this year as 5th graders. We have Vivian Macias, Anna Shadle, Annalise Chu, and Tate Shu.
All right, parents of these students, would you please stand and be recognized? I know it takes a lot of work on your part, too, as well.
Good evening. My name is April Kennelly, and I'm the principal at Garden Ridge. And I am going to turn this over to our wonderful counselor. She is our student council leader, sponsor, and everything.
And I brought, same as Forest Vista, 2 of our amazing 5th graders who served last year and this year. And these young ladies were the ones that I could call on for anything. So I am very glad tonight to have Miss Darcy Mitchell and Miss Addie Gribben here with us. We also have our assistant principal, Miss Kaylee Malone, here. Addie and Darcy's parents, if you're in the audience, please stand up. We'd love to give you a round of applause as well. Thank you for being here.
Hello, I'm Tracy Rafis, principal of Hicks, and I have with me student council officers from last year and this year. This year, we have our president, Emma Dooley, and our vice president, Mackenzie Dunnigan, and then our historian from last year, Olivia Jones. And parents, if you could stand, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Stephanie Lawson. I'm the proud principal of Memorial STEM Academy, and I have here with me tonight my 2 assistant principals, Elizabeth Mason, Sherry Miles, and also our 3 amazing student council sponsors, Lori Oden, Michelle Willis, and Renee Liebert. And 2 of our student council representatives, our student council president this year, Mr. Christian Lopez, and then Miss Carson Oden. Both were in student council in 4th grade and also this year in 5th grade. And if I can have their parents, Miss Oden is up here. And then Dr. Lopez, Miss Lopez, please stand.
That's tall. Good evening, everyone. I'm Rebecca Chirinos, proud principal at Peters Colony Elementary. And with us tonight, I have our wonderful assistant principals, Tremaine Phillips and Krista Brown. We have our fantastic STUCO leader, Dina Chavez. And we have our current student council officers. We have Donna Nava is our president, and Harper Model and Zoe Karras are our vice presidents. We have treasurer Leah Ruby. And nope, did I get that wrong? Secretary is Leah Ruby. Treasurer is Danny Hamilton. And then our historian is Isabella Hines. Parents out there, please stand to be recognized. We couldn't do it without you.
Lewisville ISD is happy to recognize the PTAs at Bluebonnet, Bridlewood, Etheridge, Garden Ridge, Hebron Valley, Heritage, Hicks, McAuliffe, and Peters Colony Elementary Schools, Arbor Creek, Durham, and McCamey Middle Schools, and Marcus High School. The PTAs at these schools were recently named a National PTA School of Excellence. The School of Excellence program was designed to open the lines of communication and critical thinking within school communities to make data-driven decisions that yield positive, long-term results. The parent-teacher associations at these schools are committed to supporting students, teachers, and their community, which ultimately ensures students have valuable learning experiences. LISD is grateful for the continued support of its PTAs. Congratulations.
Good evening. I am the proud principal of Bluebonnet Elementary in Flower Mound, and I have with me our president of our PTA, Elise Hallra, VP of Information, Kara Kirkley, and Grace Burbage. No, that's her daughter. Yes, Kirsten Burbage, VP of Events. We have VP of School Support, Miss Jennifer Tinley, and Danielle Erickson, our school secretary, our Bluebonnet PTA secretary.
Ms. Obenhouse, did you want to introduce who you had with you? Yes, come on up. Wait, let's real quick, because I think we missed the Arbor Creek introduction. Am I right about that? You are right. Okay, yes. We love Arbor Creek, yes. Love everybody. Big hearts to all.
That was cute. Thank you.
Yeah, it did. Okay, with me I have my PTA president, Miss Melissa Dooley, and I also have my kind of dance committee chair. Last year you were all of it. They do all the things. This is Emily Shackelford, so we couldn't do all of this without them, so very proud of them.
Hi, y'all. Good evening. My name is Meredith Whitehouse. I'm the proud principal at Bridlewood STEM Academy in Flower Mound, and I am super excited about the work that this incredible PTA board has done over the last 2 years to receive this award. So I want to introduce who's here. At the very end, we have Benjamin Mogandi. We have Kyle Austin. We have Kristen Nyans, Bonnie Swain, Marcy Norell, Deirdre Perry, and we have a couple of junior student members here. We have Elizabeth Perry and Kinsley Norell.
Good evening. I am Gary Holt. I am the principal at Durham Middle School, and here with us tonight, starting on the far end there, one of our assistant principals, Miss Ellie Murphy. Mr. Brian Harvey, he is our faculty and staff liaison for PTA. Miss Courtney Hopecraft, she is our secretary. Our phenomenal president, Missy Faulkner. Miss Carrie Cabbage, who is our VP of membership, and another assistant principal, Miss Stephanie Hall.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tasha Thompson, proud principal of Etheridge Elementary and the most excellent PTA board. We have only part of us here because the rest of us are back at campus because we hosted a Reflections Night, make and take evening, again hosted by our awesome PTA. So we've got our PTA president, Anna Peters, Kelly Bolt, and we also have Brittany Williams. So these ladies are not only huge advocates for our school, but champions for LISD as well. Thank you.
I am so excited and just proud to announce our Garden Ridge PTA board. Our board president is Jamison Mitchell, and we have Victoria Bernhard. She joined us this year. We recruited her last year. And we have Laura Blaylock, and we have Julie Mosty, and of course my assistant principal, Kaylee Malone. They are just wonderful. They have grown our PTA to be just outstanding, and just proud of you. Thank you.
Hello, I am Laura Zamora, principal at Hebron Valley Elementary, and we have the lovely Stephanie Slosik here representing us today. She is our teacher board representative, so we are so thankful for her and for all of our PTA.
Good evening, board. Good evening, everybody. Toby Maxson, principal at Heritage Elementary. I'm pleased to have two of my 59 team board members here representing Heritage Elementary. This is Courtney Houghton, our existing PTA president, and Katie Lentini. Thank you.
And I'm Tracy Rafis from Hicks, and proud to introduce our PTA president, Tina Verma, our parliamentarian and former PTA president, Vicki Ursey, and we have Cynthia Padden, who is our membership chairperson this year, and she really spearheaded our entire PTA School of Excellence, so thank you, Cynthia, for all of that. And then we have Michelle Crowley, our VP1.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cody Kuntz. I am the proud principal of Marcus High School, and like most of the incredible achievements of our campus, this one has very little to do with me. So we are really grateful for this, and to do the honors of introducing our board members that are here, I'm going to introduce our PTSA board president, Tish Raymond, and shout out to my partner in leadership at M9, Ms. Jessica True, for being here as well.
Thank you, Dr. Kuntz. Welcome. I would like all board members to give a jaunty wave when I call your name. And I'm not giving titles because at the high school level, we're all presidents and everybody keeps it going. So we have Dr. Kuntz and Ms. True from Marcus and M9. And then we have Christy Dolshaw, Michelle Hernandez, Janelle Oppenheimer, and Allison Lasson, who you may recognize, who's come up to join us. So thank you so much, and thank you for the relentless Michelle Hernandez, who did all the application filling out and pushed us over the line.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Mattingly, principal at McAuliffe Elementary. This is Jessica Estes. She's our PTA president. She's finishing her 10th year in PTA at McAuliffe and her 6th year on the board, and she is an incredible support to our amazing school. So thank you, Jessica. Thank you for having us.
Last but not least, I hope. I'm Kelly Knight. I'm the principal at McCamey Middle School, and I'm here with two of our PTA leaders, Julie Morgan and Julie Brand and Susan Morgan.
And we're back. And unfortunately, our board could not make it tonight, but I do have our fantastic assistant principals here, whom without all of this could not be possible. So we are just so happy to be representing them. Our PTA board, who are just phenomenal and kind of did an apple cart turnover this year to make sure they could all stay on the board in different roles. So we are so thankful for them, and we are honored to be able to be recognized on their behalf.
Mrs. Lasson will present this month's Recognize Someone.
All right, we've got two here to read. The first is a parent shared about Stephanie Altman, counselor at Creek Valley Middle School. Thank you, Ms. Stephanie Altman, for helping with adjusting the schedules for the students working through scheduling conflicts. You worked so hard accommodating the requests with the third elective selections for the school year. Most parents saw how hard you worked weekends answering parents' emails, working on schedules. Your thoughtful encouragement and consistent persistence and guidance help students to feel seen and supported. Thank you for reaching beyond the school walls to support families. All right, and then the second one is a parent shared about Jared from Huffines Middle School food service staff. Jared was an absolute delight during the summer break. We went to Huffines for lunch every day. He was kind and courteous. He always made conversation with us and made us feel welcome.
That's awesome. Next up is our superintendent update, Dr. Rapp.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I'm pleased to bring you this month's update. It's hard to believe that when we were last together, we were just getting ready to start school, and so we have had a busy month since we all saw each other, and look at all those faces from the first day of school. So proud of the start we've had, so thankful for our families and their support, and we'll just continue to look forward to a great school year ahead. Some recent celebrations that people may have seen on our social media channels. We had several schools that were named Apple Distinguished Schools, and people can read more about that on the internet. But congratulations to Hebron Valley, Hicks, Independence, Marcus, 9th grade campus, McCamey, Old Settlers, and Polzer on earning this special designation, and we look forward to celebrating them more soon. Then, as you know, I like to report on the 3 C's. So specifically this month, I wanted to highlight the connection with staff. So thankful to our Education Foundation and all of you who were part of the wonderful day where we awarded 64 teacher grants totaling $96,700. And everyone can read more about that on the internet. And if you haven't yet given to the Education Foundation, please do. It supports our students, our teachers, and our kids. We also had a busy week last week with Assistant Principal U as we connected with our staff and continue to provide them training about important topics that help them support our schools. I'm very thankful to the work of our professional learning team and Ms. Litchfield and Dr. Miller for all of their help in getting all of that content together. And then, I was reflecting just as we all were at Hebron for Dignitary Night these last few weekends. Our biggest classrooms with Friday Night Lights are back in action. And you think about the numbers of students that we see in the fall, 6,000 students from a variety of groups that fill our stadiums. I love nothing more than on a Friday night looking out at the stadium and everything in action. 3,000 community members in attendance at any one of those on average, and we welcome more than 9,000 attendees to our big games, the Battle of the Axe and the Mound Showdown and all of those things. And so thank you to Hebron for a great Dignitary Night on Friday night. We look forward to our other Dignitary Nights coming up, and we just, again, love seeing those big classrooms that are our stadiums back in action. I wanted to say a thank you to all of you again and just share one more time with our community here, and we put this out in a public release, but thank you for adopting a tax rate that was lower than the previous year. You all decreased the INS side of the tax rate by 1 cent, giving the average LISD homeowner a savings of nearly $200 a year. And again, we just continue to thank you all as a board for your excellent financial management of this school district, and that we can implement both the 23 and 24 bond programs and still lower the tax rate by 1 cent. Then we know, just as we look at recent events across our country, we know that there's nothing more important than what we do every day than keeping our students safe and secure. And so I wanted to also say thank you to our community, not only for their support of the 2017 bond, which allowed us to install over $28.8 million worth of safety and security in our schools, but to the voters for their approval in November of our 2023 bond, which will have approximately $100 million of safety and security measures for our schools. And I appreciate our staff and our team that are working to implement all of those. You look at your commitment on spending for safety and security in our schools. In fiscal year 23, $6.5 million, fiscal year 24, $9.3, and you're looking at $10.45 million in fiscal year 25 budget. And I know that we all will continue to advocate tirelessly with our elected officials to fully fund safety and security for our schools. And I thank you, board, for your commitment to that. I thought it was also just a good reminder, too, in my update about our Community Efficiency Committee. Of course, we update you all on that at all of the work sessions, and we will provide more updates in my newsletter that goes out this week to our community as well. We have that committee that's charged to represent the entire community in reviewing our facility usage and enrollment trends. We're no longer a district of 53,000, and we have space for 53,000. So we have to review how our facilities are being used. No decisions have been made at this time. The committee is analyzing the data that they've been given. I'm thankful to Dr. Miller and
and Jeff Kosh and Mr. Rare and all the staff that have presented content for this team as they assess enrollment trends, building capacities, facility and staffing efficiency, and attendance boundaries. And we'll work to continue to keep our community updated. We had meeting 3 on August 20th and meeting 4 on August 27th. They're busy with touring the facilities and doing the efficiency assessment, and we've got our next meeting coming up tomorrow night. And then upcoming, we have National Arts and Education Week this week, September 9th through 13th. We, of course, will join with people from all over the country as we remember the events of September 11th and recognize that National Day of Service and remembrance of our first responders. And then we have LISD Kindness Week coming up the 16th through the 20th. Thank you for reading Recognize Someone's every month. I encourage our community, please brag on our staff and help us retain the great staff that we have by giving them the compliments for what they're doing every day. And that's my update.
Thank you, Dr. Rapp. Next up is consent items. Are there any items to be pulled, or would someone like to make a motion? Dr. Bonner.
Yes, ma'am. If we could please pull K1A, the very first item.
Thank you. Are there any others? Would someone like to make a motion? Ms. Sells?
I move that the board approve the consent agenda items as recommended by administration with the exception of the following item pulled for separate consideration. Item K1A.
Is there a second? Ms. Lasan? All those in favor? That's unanimous, 7-0. Dr. Bonner, would you like to make a motion for K19?
Yes, ma'am. As soon as I get pulled over there, I got ahead of myself, Ms. Prosnick. Yes, for item K1A, I move that the board approve consent agenda item K1A as recommended by administration.
There a second? Ms. Taylor, discussion? Dr. Bonner.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Prosnick, I just wanted to basically point out we had this item for a work session, and I had some additional questions, and I posed those to Mr. Kodge, and I just wanted to thank him for the extensive response and the context behind this item, and really it kind of lines up with some of the things Dr. Rapp said a moment ago. This item in the agenda tonight is a $700,000 item for the next 5 years. And what it does is it provides upgraded technology resources on our buses, of all places, and it will assist Mr. Kosh and people in student services and transportation in monitoring and assessing what goes on our buses in times of crisis, frankly. You know, we had an item last year which caused a lot of concern. Child was safe, this, that, and the other, but it took us a long time to address it, longer than it should have. And so Mr. Kodge and his team brought this item to us to upgrade those buses at a cost, but we thought that cost was worth bringing to the board. And just the other thing I would say, to harken back to what Dr. Rapp said a moment ago, this district spends $6 million plus on student safety. And so this item tonight is another example of that, where we spend 4 times more of the money that the state provides us on student safety, and it indicates that the importance under which we want to keep our kids and staff safe. So I appreciate the opportunity to thank Mr. Kosh, but also point out the importance of this item.
Anybody else? The only other thing I would say to Dr. Bonner's comments is we had asked that land sale money not be used to pay for this item, and land sale money will not be used. We will be using unencumbered funds from the 2017 bond. Once again, thanking our community for stepping up in 2017 to support students, and this is a way that we can use those funds to help support students now. So with that, I will call for the vote. All those in favor? That's unanimous, 7-0. Next up is information items. Federal programs update. Ms. Cobb.
Good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Rapp. I would like to introduce to you Mrs. Stella Rupert and Dr. Courtney Hart. They will share the federal programs update with each of you this evening. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Mm-hmm. it on.
You killed it.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here and talk about federal funds with you tonight. So we're excited to share one particular update with you for our office. Recently, just in the last several weeks, Carice Reidinger has been named the new coordinator of federal programs, so we're very pleased about that. In addition to that, federal programs has always been under the umbrella of human resources for about the last 8 years or so. It's going to move under a new umbrella under the finance side. So one of the things that happened recently is we're really delighted that our new director of budget, Claudia Orta, is coming to us with a wealth of knowledge about federal programs. So in just the last several weeks, Estella and I really feel like the institutional knowledge about federal programs has just doubled overnight. It's really exciting for our students, so we're really pleased to see all the things that come from that. Estella and I will still be here. You'll still see our names on things, just it probably won't be federal programs things. So when you see some human resources items, you'll see our names. But from this point moving forward, we're very excited that Claudia and Carice are going to be the folks whose names you're seeing in future. So as we look at the overall district budget, there's always, when you look at that big pie chart, there's always that larger section that's local funds, right? And then there's that smaller pie slice that's state funds. And then there's that very, very tiny slice that's federal funds, right? So I just wanted to point out exactly what's a part of that tiny, tiny pie slice. It's going to be SHARs, some funding from impact aid, the bond refunds, and then indirect costs from our federal grants. So what's important to note is indirect costs are basically the federal government's way of saying we understand there's a cost of doing business. So we have a set indirect cost rate. We submit a worksheet and then that rate is assigned back to us. Our indirect cost rate is about 3.9%. So on $1 million grant, we have about $39,000 that they would let us take over as revenue. So only 3.9% of our federal entitlements are what you are seeing in that little federal sliver. So we actually do have a little bit more funds than you're seeing counted in that number. So of course for our annual budget number, it's usually around $550 million. You can see last year for 23-24, our audited number was about $12 million. But we actually do have more funding than that comes in through the entitlements, so that's nice. So let's just take a quick look at our entitlements here. We're going to break it out. So you can see our ESSA grant. That's of course Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV. Idea B, which serves our special ed students, and then Perkins, which provides funding for career and technical education. So it's important to note the reason that these are not included in that annual budget is because we never really know what's going to happen with these funds. Now, they are, of course, very established legislative items, right? So ESSA dates back to 65. Idea B, I believe, is 75. And Perkins, I want to say, is 1984. So the legislation is very established. But the funding, that's redone every single year in the big federal omnibus budget, right? So every time you start hearing in the news Congress talking about, it's time for, we can't agree on the budget, so we need a continuing resolution. When you see that news piece, right, that means they're working on the big annual federal omnibus budget. And that is where this funding is set. So you can see it's been fairly steady over the past 4 years. This amount is actually set, of course, by the Appropriations Committee. There's a subcommittee for Health, Human Services, Education, Labor, and other related services. So that committee has been fairly stable. So for 4 years, you'll notice there hasn't been a lot of change. Now, you'll see it is a little bit smaller in 24-25, those numbers are. That's not a reduction in funding. It's always a little bit smaller at the beginning of the year. So you can see it grows a little bit from 21-22 to 22-23. Then it grows a little bit the next year. So we don't have an apples to apples number for that 24-25 yet, right? because we're looking at a beginning of the year number. So what is interesting is that things could change in November. You know, anytime there's an election, there's always a possibility that there could be some upheaval, there could be some new committee members, there could be some new priorities coming out of those committees. The other thing that's really, really important to note is what is not driving this set amount is the number of things coming out of Congress which are requiring us to provide specific services. For instance, to our special education students. Of course, we've all seen accountability changes related to CTE. Of course, there are an ever-growing number of services that we provide to students who are on free and reduced lunch. And so what we do not see is an increasing number of funding related to those specific things. But let's take a look at what we actually spend our funding on here in Lewisville ISD. Stella?
Good evening. So Title I is our campuses. We have 26 campuses. They qualify for Title I because they have 45% or more free and reduced students on their campus. Since we have 26 campuses, the campuses spend their allotment on different things, mostly staffing, tutoring, materials, supplies that they need for campus to support the kids and the programs that they are running on the campus. Family engagement nights. You'll see some fun things that they have planned, and a lot of that is paid for with their Title I funds. Title II is our Recruitment, Retaining Effective Teachers Grant. This one actually touches every single campus in our district. It helps pay for mentor teachers. It helps pay for retired mentor teachers. It pays for mentor teachers on the campus. For our coaches who are first-year coaches, it pays for a retired coach to help support them. It also pays for an instructional coach. Last summer, we sent a large amount of staff to Solution Tree in Fort Worth to get some PLC training. On Title III, that is our Language Acquisition Grant. This is the one that helps pay for our SOAR program and our NISA program, which is always fun to go visit in the summer, and we're thankful that we have such great people who support our students in that realm. Title IV is our Well-Rounded, Safe, and Healthy grant. We pay for some staffing out of this grant. It also helps support our STEM campuses and their curriculum and supports professional learning for those campuses. It also pays for a second step at the elementary level. Perkins grant that supports our CTE program. It's interesting to look at the amount because we know what a robust, amazing CTE program we have here in LASD, and that amount definitely does not support everything that we do here. So we have a very lucky district and the support from you to help with all the CTE programs that we have. IDEA B is supporting special education services. This also helps for some staffing, not a lot, just a little bit, and also some contracted services to help our students. The additional grants that we have, they pop up every once in a while. Right now, it's our Silent Panic Alert Technology Grant. This one has been spent to 100%. This is the one that we use to help pay for a portion, not all of, the buttons on the telephones for the classrooms. So teachers are able to push a button, and it alerts multiple people of an emergency that they're having on campus. We also have a School Safety Standards Formula Grant and a Safety and Facilities Enhancement Cycle 2 Grant. Together, those are about $3.6 million, which, as you can see from the presentation before, that is a very small portion of the amount of funds that LISD spends on safety. This grant was spent on contract services to enhance our radio technology to help with the emergency personnel and the school radio. But again, it's just a portion of the project that we have ongoing currently.
So really, in Lewisville, what we spend our federal funds on is the opportunity for our staff to create relationships with our students. Lewisville ISD staff are truly unbelievable in the work they do every day, so it's a pleasure to support them in that work. Thank you.
Comments or questions? Dr. Barker.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you very much for your presentation, and thank you for reminding the public that this is a very tiny sliver of funding that we get. So we talk a lot about advocacy from the dais and about having conversations with those that represent us, particularly in Austin, but we cannot stop there. We also have to be having conversations with those that represent us in D.C. We need to make sure that they understand that education is a priority nationwide. so that some of these numbers, and Dr. Rapp, you'll have to remind me what the difference is between what we get from IDEA and what we spend on special education, but I imagine it's quite a difference. And so being able to advocate for that we need the funding to be able to do what the federal government is asking us to do. I know a lot of people, for instance, really like to talk about how we'd love to get rid of STAR testing. That's not an Austin decision. That comes from ESSA. So we are required by ESSA to have certain regulations, such as assessments across multiple grade levels, so that we get money from the federal government. So you cannot just have conversations with Austin. It has to be with DC too. Thank you.
Ms. Taylor.
Thank you. Again, I concur with my colleague. Great presentation. I had a question about the Title I funds, about $5.6 million, and you said 26 campuses in LISD qualify. Do they receive their share? Is it equally? Is it pro rata? Or are there differences based on the attendance or the number of students?
Amount. So per regulations, any campus that is above 75% has to receive a larger portion of the allocation than campuses that are less than 75%. So it's ranked based on the amount.
Yes, there was a question on the special education funding, and so our difference, we run about 14 to $16 million short. Ms. Prosnick was asking the same thing over here on special education funding. We spend about $65 million on special education funding. And so our shortage is a combination of shortage between the federal and the state government, and neither of those have given the funding necessary to provide the program that you're expected to provide. And you know, the state actually did a special education study before the 88th session started, and they identified for the legislature how much was needed to close that gap. So I hope that that's another conversation that happens in the 89th, because special education funding needs to be addressed.
And I would just say I concur. I think we have amazing staff across the district. Thank you so much for the presentation. Next up, the all-exciting academic calendar 25-26. Dr. Miller.
All right. Thanks, y'all. We're here to start the conversation. As you know, this is a lengthy process that takes months, so we are just in the information stage of this. The timeline, a couple of things you'll notice this year is the very first thing of a focus group. I will talk about that here in a second, but that is new this year. And then you'll notice that typically, it's wavered back and forth every year, but typically we do for action item to be in December. But since the focus group, we wanted to not rush that process and make sure that the input we get from that will impact the calendar, so make sure we had time for that. So we've pushed back. The survey will happen in December, and then the action will be in January. So the focus group, if you remember, last year we did something a little different with the calendar development. We had lots of input groups that I went and talked to, and we got lots of great feedback. But part of that process, we identified a couple things that people really wanted us to discuss more or to explore and look into. So start times for schools and the length of the school day were two of the things that people were questioning about, that those aren't things the calendar committee necessarily addresses, but it impacts the calendar. So there is a focus group. There are about 30-something group, 37. I shared with you the member list. So however many are on that, which about half of them are on the calendar committee, so that there's consistency and they hear what the focus group is talking about. But the focus group, we met last week and we're meeting again this week, and then one other additional time to really explore the start times. These are the things that we're really talking about, of why we stagger the start times, why the order of them, how does that impact all the stakeholders involved, what are different options, what do different districts do, and really not that things will change, but if they need to change, that we're having that conversation. And then we're also talking about length of school day. As you know with calendar, which we'll talk about here in a second, but your length of your school day really determines how you can balance things out or not balance things. It impacts a lot. And so they are also looking, we get asked all the time, why don't we add more work time to our calendar for staff? That's because of the number of minutes that we have to work with to hit our instructional time. So that is also what the committee is exploring. So once and I will come back and give you an update in October about the focus group and what the outcomes are from that, and then then the calendar will kick in from there. So with the academic calendar, you know that there are state parameters, of course, not starting till the fourth Monday. However, we are part of District of Innovation, so that is waived, that we cannot end prior till May 15th, which is interesting. Whenever you increase your minutes, you have those things, but we can't go before May 15th. And then, of course, we're not trying to hit a number of days. We're trying to hit a number of minutes for instructional time. Lots of things that we can consider, and I always explain to people when I ask them if they want to be on the calendar committee, I said, do you like to do big puzzles? Like it's just big old puzzle pieces that you've got to try to fit them all together. And so these are some of the things that we consider. What our start times are. We really look at trying to balance our semesters. When do we end? All of that. Everything you do, which I have this picture, it's all a juggling act. If you do one thing, it impacts something else. So now how many instructional minutes you have in a day actually impact this balancing act as well, allowing more flexibility or not allowing more flexibility. So that is part of what the focus group is talking about as well. And then these are really the guiding principles that we've established over the year. We added one last year after all that input group of trying to limit our early release days due to funding and CTE, and also due to parents were saying it's just so much harder, and our attendance for those days were lower. So we've added that last year based on input, and then 2 years ago we added about election days of really looking at those as well. And then this is prior input from the board that we also consider. And so if you have any additional thoughts on your guiding principles that you'd like for us to consider, otherwise those are the things that we will talk about with calendar committee once focus group is done. I think that's all. Yep, that's it.
Dr. Bonner.
Here's one for you out of left field, Dr. Miller. Have you been paying attention to the news and Representative Patterson's ideas? Yeah?
I have.
So I think it's a great idea personally, which talks about maybe pushing the start date of school till September, and that would probably put the end of school mid-June, somewhere in there. Certainly wouldn't be in place for 25, 26, but your little group, you might have them start thinking about 26, 27 just to get a jump on it. Just a couple of thoughts there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Sells?
I just want to say this is one of those things that makes me really proud to be in LISD. That here we are sitting the beginning of September and we're having these conversations with a plan that has been thoughtful. It has taken historical data into context, but it's also looking at what's happening now. And I just think that the entire process has gotten better and better over each year. And the fact that we allow our parents, our staff, our community to have input and vote is huge. Many districts do not allow that. And I will tell you that it's one of those ways, again, that LISD does a stellar job of partnering with those that we serve. So kudos for you in putting all this together in the focus group. Something new this year. Let's do it. And I love it. So thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to add that I also appreciate the work, and that I think where some of the balance comes in is teacher contracts are days. But the contract, if you will, that we make with students on education is minutes. And so it's not just about days, it's about doing that proportionately as well. So I think the balancing act was very good. You said puzzle, and I won't lie, Ms. Sell said under her breath Dungeons and Dragons, and I tend to agree with her assessment on that. So I thank you very much for the work, and I look forward to October. Next up, it's accountability with Dr. Fitzhugh.
Unfortunately, at this time, we do not have an update regarding accountability ratings. They are still being looked at by the court system based on the lawsuit that was filed. I did provide you guys with an update regarding federal accountability ratings, and we will be following up as we get more information at later meetings.
Thank you very much. Dr. Barker?
Can't let accountability go by without saying something, Madam President. I just wanted to say congratulations to those campuses who showed progress in their federal designations. That was really powerful to see. And I think a lot of that has to do with the scorecard and some other things that are in place in this district that aren't in place in other districts. So even though the state is not releasing accountability information, we have the information that we need to continue to improve those students' academic achievement.
Well said. Next up, the monthly technology report. Mr. Coons.
Thank you, Board. It's my pleasure to be here tonight to present the Technology Board report. I'd like to point out just a few items for your attention. Our IFE balance is remaining steady at $2.33 million from last month. The biggest change, really, that I'd like to point out is over in the devices section. So from last month, the grades pre-K through third went down from an average age of 4 years and 7 months to only 3 months. And that is a direct result of, yes, it's a direct result of the board's action in May to approve the purchase of those devices and using 2023 bond funds. And so over the summer, because those are classroom devices, the technology department was able to replace over 11,700 devices. Obviously, we've been working hard on other devices as well, but because those go directly in the hands of students, those are going to take a little more time this fall. Still, nevertheless, in grades 4 through 12, there were some of the fourth grade deployments that were getting started late July. So that number went down from 4 years, 2 months average age to 3 years, 11 months, and we expect that to continue to drop. The teacher devices, on the other hand, did go up 1 more month because we haven't replaced any of those, but we will be working on that in the future. On the other side, I'll point out the opt-in percentage. You may have noticed last month the June number was really low. It was at 85.1%. That was really just a result of timing. We had just rolled over our student information system to the new school year, so we had an influx of fourth graders whose parents had not had a chance to opt into the program because the back-to-school forms were not open yet. So, but in the month of July, we bumped up from that 85.1% all the way to 94.77%. And I did take a peek today at what the number looks like, and we're over 98% right now. So that's trending in the right direction. And then finally, in the middle, our average monthly bandwidth per student, you'll notice we've got the first data point on our 3rd year of data, so that's exciting. We'll be tracking the trends for across those 3 years, and so see how those develop. And one last thing I will point out on the categories of content viewed, we continue to have strong educational content. This month, over 92% was categorized as educational traffic on content viewed.
Any comments or questions? Ms. Sells?
I always love this technology report, but I'm just going to encourage those campuses out there that have part of that, and I can't do math. Ms. Taylor, I need you right now. 5.5%. Yeah, that percentage of students who have not opted in to be creative in reaching out to those parents. I know some things have happened on campuses before where, they've had just like a drive-by for parents, because sometimes it's not that the parents don't want to, they don't know how to, or they need help doing that. And so I just encourage those campuses to be creative. And although that is a remarkable number, I think we could even get that higher. And kudos also in that when you look, and I love this because this gives us a story to tell in our community, that those devices are being used for educational purposes in 92.43% of the times that they're being used. And so this report, and I know that it was shared at one of our summer trainings this summer, and the other districts that were in there were like, how did y'all get all that? I mean, they were just blown away by the amount of information that we received and how we can use that in telling our story. So thank you very much.
Only thing I would add to that, that's 92% in July.
Yeah.
We weren't even in school. Right. So kudos to our students also who are still being smart in July. And I would say I think that number coming down for pre-K is great, but I would thank our community. I would thank our community for supporting technology in our classrooms and supporting technology for every student to have access to that. So thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Coons. Moving on. Discussion items, the monthly financial report, including the bond report, land sale report, and the monthly investment summary. Mr. Ware.
Thank you. The financial report that's included in the board book reflects financial results as of July 31st. And tonight I just want to share some highlights from the different reports. On the budget revenue and expenditure summary for the general fund, through July we received 91% of our revenue, while our expenditures were at 87%. That should get much closer, though, through the month of August, as we've received most of our revenue through July. And then on the 2017 bond summary, wanted to highlight that through July we had available funds of $22.7 million. And on the 2023 bond summary, interest earned through July of $12.9 million. And through July, we spent $22.2 million. And then the last item is on the land sale summary. We had a budget available at the end of July of $24.9 million.
Any comments, questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Ware. Next up is preparation for the 89th legislative session. Dr. Rapp.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Just as we continue to study information, a lot of information continues to come out as committees are meeting. I know I talked about that at the work session. And one of the things that's come up since the work session goes back to this graph, which we have spent many, many months talking about, but it continues to surface in interesting ways. And so I thought tonight just a quick touch base on that. So TEA, of course, is representing that school districts have $14,928 per student, which is not an accurate representation of funding in the state of Texas. Commissioner Morath shared this chart that you see on the screen at the August 12th, 2024 House Public Education Committee meeting. Interestingly, many people from across the state right now, as they are getting ready for the 89th, there's a lot of talk about how do we help continue to be an education partner for our elected officials? Because we know they have a lot coming at them, and how do we help them understand why this dollar amount is not accurate? Well, so one of the things Texas School Coalition provided, they went ahead and put dollars to. There's $1.1 billion in this graph that's funding for Wyndham schools, the service centers, state and federal vendors, and TEA administrative costs. So part of that that's feeding into that $14,000 per student does not go to school districts. We've talked ad nauseum, I know, about TRS pass-through on behalf payments. That's $2.5 billion. $9.2 billion, of course, is in bond funds, which our community is well educated knows you cannot use those bond funds for daily expenditures of the school district. $4.7 billion is ESSER money, and actually this was new learning for me too, that $3.4 billion is in federal free lunch funding. So what's the bottom line with all of that? Well, if you back out nearly $21 billion that's represented in getting to this $14,000 per student amount, that would be equal to backing out $4,065 per student, which means that you would have about $10,863 per student if you leave the rest of that intact. And, you know, we've talked about, we believe the Tier 2 enrichment pennies should not be left into that calculation because not every community has those. That's a decision to your voters. And so if you take out those enrichment pennies, that number would drop even lower than that $10,000 figure. So then you think about, if you're bored in the evening, I can suggest to you reading the Legislative Budget Board book that got released in July of 2024, which is the Legislative Budget Board doing their fiscal size up, looking at all the different governmental agencies and reporting on where did the money go from the 88th legislative session. So one of the things I thought was important to bring up this evening is this graph, which actually I believe the commissioner has also referenced in presentations that he's given to committees, but this takes into account inflation. And so if you look at 2020, the line, well, first of all, the line with the little diamond shapes going across the bar graphs, that's taking account inflation, holding expenses constant, all right? So what that shows you is that in 2020, you see where that diamond is, and now where we are in 2025. So what people are saying is we're actually operating with $10 billion less in 2025 than what we were operating with in 2020, taking inflation into account. Now, if you really look from 2016 to 2025, when you take inflation into account, we're really operating with less than we were in 2016. Now, how scary is that? Right? Unbelievable. The bar graphs are going up. So when people say there's been more money from the legislature appropriated for public education, the bar graphs would say yes. However, I would argue, based on this graph, that some of what's being represented in making those bar graphs go up is not money that actually can be used by school districts. And then when you layer inflation on top of that, straight from the Legislative Budget Board, we are operating with less money today than what we had access to in 2020 and even what we had access to in 2016. So you think about in 2016, you see it keeps pace a little bit, inflation does, with the amount of investment. And then we know House Bill 3 that everyone was so proud of in 2019 that really raised levels of funding. And then you see that big increase in 2021 because of that federal aid bar with ESSER. And then, man, inflation comes in, and there you see that drop off. So I am looking forward to having these kind of conversations with our elected officials, that the investments are not keeping pace with inflation. And with that being said, that's my update for this evening.
Dr. Bonner?
Dr. Rapp, can you throw that slide back up there for a moment?
Oh, yes.
So what you didn't talk about is attendance. So look at the attendance remaining constant. And so, you know, kids just show up at school with no financial concerns, right? They just pop in here. No, it doesn't cost us a thing to get them up here, or keep them engaged in learning, or to feed them, or any of that. So for that to remain relatively constant is remarkable, but it also indicates that we are trimming other programs in favor of having kids here. And so I wonder also what learning across that decade looks like. You know, maybe there's somehow we can overlay state assessment scores and CCMR and other academic points on that chart. Just a thought.
Yeah, because, you know, ultimately the one data point that is most important to all of us is our graduation rates. And what we know from our Friends of Texas Public Schools, Texas has some of the highest graduation rates in the country. And so we're achieving those graduation rates with having some of the lowest funding in the country, right? The other interesting part about attendance is that part of that investment on this slide is there is an amount of money, I think it's about $3 billion, that's for enrollment growth in the state that the 88th legislation included in their analysis. But this would tell you that we don't have a lot of enrollment growth. So you're investing billions of dollars in enrollment growth, but really who is that benefiting? So it adds to the number, but if it's not used, then they're able to come back in the 89th and say, well, we're going to take that $3 billion back. So it's a way to look like you're investing, but you're really not helping anybody out with that investment.
Dr. Barker?
So 2024 shows a bar graph of state funding, but as I recall, there's some money sitting in Austin that we didn't get. How much is that again?
$3.9 billion.
Thank you.
Still sitting there, still not in classrooms. Thank you, Dr. Rapp. Next up is action items part 2. Consider approval of district improvement plan. Dr. Miller.
Yes, the DIP process and draft strategies we shared in August, and you have the final draft of DIP strategies in your board book. So I don't have anything else to add unless anyone has any questions.
Would someone like to make a motion? Dr. Barker.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the board approve the 2024-25 district improvement plan as presented by administration.
Dr. Bonner, second. Any questions? Discussion? All those in favor? That passes 7-0. If there is no further business, this meeting is adjourned. The time is 8:25 p.m. Have a pleasant evening.